Intrepid Studios just showed us they're about to make online game servers work better than we have ever seen before. By using different tools together, they are approaching a big win for when many players are online at the same time in the same place. Ashes of Creation recently had its June development stream, and it was amazing. Since then, I have spent many hours reading, watching, and listening to everything I could find about their new server technology, IntrepidNet. This stream focused more on technical details than gameplay, which sometimes can be less exciting. However, it was full of interesting information about their in-house server technology, IntrepidNet. Some people have wondered if Intrepid can handle large numbers of players in small areas, and hopefully this stream answered some of those concerns. Before we dive in, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing. It helps the channel and keeps me motivated. One of the amazing things about Ashes of Creation is their drive to innovate. The networking team is building a custom networking system to meet the specific needs of the game. As an open-world PvP game, they had 4 main goals: no layering, instancing, or shards, support for many players, large-scale PvP anywhere in the world, and low latency for smooth PvP gameplay. The team has been working on this new technology for years, and we are finally getting to see the results. IntrepidNet has 5 main parts: server meshing, inter-server replication, microservices, dynamic gridding, and the replication graph. Each part is very complex and interesting, and you might have already watched a few videos about dynamic gridding or server meshing. Because of how complex each part is, I'll probably only cover a few and only one at a time. In this video, I want to talk about what I think is the most important and challenging aspect: the process of replication and relevancy checks. Even with dynamic gridding, you still need to solve the problem of replication, as the developers have said. In mmorpgs, players need regular updates from the server about their surroundings to make decisions. These surroundings include actors, which are objects in the game world like players, items, or NPCs. Actors are anything you can see and interact with, each having different states such as position, movement, ability use, interactions, and animations. Synchronizing these actor states from the server to the player is called replication. For example, when you cast a spell, you send a message to the server. The server then replicates this action and sends the results to you and other relevant players. Replication happens constantly. Previously, each actor had to decide whether to send an update to each player, which created a bottleneck and used a lot of CPU power, especially in areas with many players and actors. If replication slows down, you might see issues like rubber banding, characters stuck in strange animations, or delays in actions like a fireball taking several seconds to hit after being cast. Replication is very CPU intensive because of relevancy checks. Every tick, the server checks if each actor is relevant to each player based on conditions like distance or visibility. If an actor is relevant, its state is included in replication. If not, nothing is sent. The more players and actors there are, the more these checks slow things down. You can think of relevancy checks like social media feeds, similar to how social media platforms show you updates from friends or pages you follow rather than everything happening on the platform. Relevancy checks ensure players see game events and updates pertinent to their current experience. In terms of gaming, think about it like you are entering a town. When the player enters a town, the server starts sending updates about NPCs, other players, and events in the town. It stops sending updates about the forest the player just left, or combat in a dungeon. Inside a dungeon, the server sends detailed updates about nearby enemies, traps, and other players in the party. Updates about the outside world are minimized or even paused. During testing for Ashes of Creation, they found that 1/3 of the replication time was due to these relevancy checks, even with server meshing in place. So this is a huge problem, but replication graphs offer a solution. Unreal introduced replication graphs in version 4.2 in 2019. They were initially designed for Fortnite Battle Royale, which needed to replicate up to 50,000 actors to 100 players quickly. These graphs are customizable for any game developer's needs. The replication graph contains many nodes which build lists of actors to replicate to each player on demand. These nodes can store and share data between client connections, making replication much more efficient. Nodes work by determining which actors might need updates and then sorting them into groups. They provide pre-computed lists of actors to each client connection as quickly as possible. Because the replication graph can be customized, developers can create special nodes that work in unique ways to fit their needs. Unreal Engine provides several high-level examples of these possibilities. For example, we can make a list of dormant actors like ore or trees that don't change much until a player interacts with them. Until something happens with these objects, there is really no need to constantly update players about their status. We can also separate actors by location, deciding what to show players based on where they are in the game world and what they might interact with. This way, we don't need to check or update actors that are far away on the other side of the game world. You can think of replication graphs like a traffic management system in a city. Instead of broadcasting all traffic information to everyone, traffic lights, signs, and road sensors ensure that only relevant information like a green light or a detour is given to drivers in specific areas. Also, if a dynamic event like a dragon attack starts in your vicinity, the replication graph quickly prioritizes this new data to make sure you can see and experience the event in real time, leaving out everything else that the player does not need. The team working on IntrepidNet is using several of these strategies. They refer to location-based nodes as spatial grid buckets. This model allows them to check only the grid cells near the player and ignore the rest, leading to a 35% reduction in replication time. Spatial grid buckets can be thought of in terms of city planning. Think of a city divided into neighborhoods. Each neighborhood has its own set of houses, parks, and shops. City services like waste collection or postal delivery operate more efficiently by focusing on one neighborhood at a time rather than an entire city. The team also created a dormancy bucket, where actors are moved to the spatial grid bucket when interacted with and then returned to the dormancy bucket when done. This resulted in an 80% reduction in replication time. Despite these impressive improvements, with a 7-fold increase in replication speed, it still wasn't fast enough for their worst-case scenario: highly packed areas full of PvP. Other games might have used instancing or layering at this point, but Ashes of Creation has no plans to do that. The team discovered that replication in the Unreal Engine is single-threaded. While the Unreal Engine supports multi-threading, it's not implemented by default. They were even told that changing replication to a multi-threaded process was probably impossible.
But we did it anyway.
This was a huge win for the team. Multi-threading the replication process improved replication speed by 2.4 times. With all these improvements combined, they achieved a total reduction in replication time of 94%. That is an amazing improvement. However, the team says there is still more work to do in order to reach their goals, and that's where we come in as testers in Alpha 2. I was glad to hear that all this tech, except for dynamic gridding, was used in the no-board test I participated in. They quickly and significantly improved their server based on the data from our playtesting. I think this is a good sign for the future as more people get to test Ashes of Creation. If you're interested in my thoughts on alpha testing, you can find them on the end screen or in the link below. So as you can see, there is a lot of work going into making sure we have the best experience we can when running around the world of Vera, and especially when engaging in large-scale PvP battles. It is truly a privilege and a lot of fun being able to see some of these inner workings. I'm pretty sure no other developer has ever shown me a CPU performance profile of an in-house bot test. As always, thank you for watching, and I look forward to reading your comments below.